Hi, I'm Jon Sicotte, executive editor of the Brewer Magazine. It's the Brewer Magazine podcast, and we are recording this on April Fool's Day, but no joke, we are here. We'll be running this at some point, but it's always a fun time to be able to come to you, do this thing virtually. And speaking of virtual, bringing in a well-known name coming from Yards Brewing. Tom Kehoe is here, and he is virtual, and that's what we're talking about today, Tom, is virtual tastings. I got an email from you guys a little bit ago saying that you guys are bringing back virtual tastings, which were the rage a few years ago because of something going on in the world. What made you guys like what you were doing with virtual tastings, and what are you guys doing with it now?
So it's funny, to bring you back 2 years ago, I think we did over 100 that year, I guess in 2020. And it was just amazing the response we got, just something, it was a reason people got together, although they weren't really together. And
Right.
they were able to do the tasting. We sent the beer out to them. It was so much fun that I think, it's just like, people remember and it was like, hey, this is a good time and we can still do this, even though, because not everybody's really fully back to work yet, I don't think. And it was a lot of work type tastings. So
Yeah, I'm here. I'm at home. I'm home all the time.
right. I mean, it's like, well, are we going to go out and get together? Or are we going to get together and really talk and get everything we need to get done over the internet? So
It was almost like such a rush job back at the beginning of the pandemic that people were coming up with these ideas.
right.
I'm sure it's a little more smooth sailing now for you guys. How did those first virtual tastings go? Was it more live stream available to anyone? And how did it start? And what are you guys doing now?
So we really back then we were actually booking groups. A lot of like law firms, companies that wanted to, sort of have fun with some of the other people they were kind of doing like a virtual meeting with. And this might have been an add-on to their virtual meeting, or it was something where it's like, hey, we want to treat the group. Everybody's working, kind of from home, and we're going to send you 4 beers in the mail. And then this crazy guy named Tom's going to get on there and start talking about the beer and talking about his business and, just have a lot of fun. And everybody's going to sit there and drink beer. By the end, you're 4 beers in. It's like, hey, that was an hour, 4 beers in an hour. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So where is the like for you guys? How much of a response do you get? I know you sent this out at the end of February. How did that email or what you've done in the past, like, kind of move it forward? I mean, how much response do you guys get from like a mass emailing like
So,
that?
right. I mean, back during COVID, where this was like a thing, a real thing. I mean, because we did over 100 of them. Uh,
Mhm.
it's we're getting some response. We're getting some people. It's like, what actually is it? But the people that have done it before, we're getting still repeat business from that. I mean, we had one company. I think they might have did over 10 virtual tastings throughout the year, and even into the next year. It was just a lot of fun. And then once they were able to come in person, they came to the brewery, and I did a tasting with them, live, sitting right there, which was a lot of fun. So
Pretty cool. Well, it's
yeah,
obviously you enjoy doing them then, because it is something that you are doing. It's not like you guys are having
right,
someone in the company do it. You are a founder. You are, right in there.
right.
People love being able to talk to the people that started these things. So that's got to
And
be fun for
I
you too.
exactly. I mean, I've got sort of like a script just because I know the product so well. So it's like a script, but it's really just me talking from the cup. But I really try to get some people talking and answering, questions and seeing how well they're into beer. I mean, like sometimes they would bring people from other cities, and most likely I'd know breweries from that city, like Chicago or something like that, and talk
Mhm.
about the breweries and how we compare to them, and to give them a better basis of what Yards is. And so it's more it's talking about Yards, it's talking about beer, it's talking about how to taste beer, and you can do that virtually because you're not virtually tasting the beer. You're actually tasting the beer because you have it in front of you.
Yeah, yeah,
So that
and
that's that's kind of a great thing about it. The conversation's virtual, but the actual tasting and what you're doing isn't. So I think
yeah,
that's what makes these virtual tastings successful.
I think so too. So that takes some logistics. You actually have to schedule it, make sure the beer is getting there. I mean, how
Right.
behind the scenes for you guys, how does that all function? And, kind of what kind of timeline do you have to work with to be able to get one going?
So yeah, it's a couple weeks if you're going to be sending it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just might drop off like a few cases of beer already packaged up in like four packs because we would do four beers and send that to like the company, and they would each have to pick up their four pack and have to hold on to it for a day or two until the actual online tasting time came or whatever. So
Nice.
and I would do it any place from here at the brewery to being at home in my dining room, or even up in the Poconos, depending on where I was when we scheduled everything. So,
Very cool.
but
What kind of
yeah.
beers do you work through when you're doing that? Is it very basic stuff that people, if they like it, they can run to the store and pick up more? Or do you bring some special stuff in too?
Nope, it's pretty much all stuff that's canned, that's readily available. Usually, we would do our variety pack or something like that, but it would be enough of a difference that you'd be able to try like our most popular beer, Philly Pale, and then maybe a Bit Viper, an unfiltered beer, and then go to a classic like IPA, and then it might be Summer Crush, it might be Big Johns or something or Long Johns or something like that. Whatever was pretty much like available in the variety pack and readily that is always available from Yards, so that they could go out and grab that right away. And there was one beer we did a lot back then, which we don't do anymore, which was our Loyal Lager.
Ah,
So we got that replaced now with the High Dive, which is a
gotcha.
summer pilsner. So we bank, we're constantly doing like fitting in styles that fit, and we don't want to have a hole out there where it's like, oh well, they don't do a pumpkin beer. Well, we don't do a pumpkin beer, and we're not going to. But we'll explain that during the virtual tasting if somebody wants to ask.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Are you seeing this being as almost a way to introduce yourself to a complete different group of people that might never step foot into Yards or go to a grocery store and be willing just to pick it up on a whim without knowing who you guys are? This gives you it's a marketing opportunity along with a connection.
Exactly. You're finding some people are craft beer addicts that are part of it, and some people it's like, look, I don't know if I like beer because I haven't had the right beer, and so you got to kind of like show them it's like, hey, we're a local company, we do this, and you should buy from us because of that, but you just should also buy what you like. And I think by doing the tasting, you can let them know like, yes, this is a citrusy hopped beer, things like that. It's like, wow, I never really tasted beer like this before, because they really aren't beer savvy. And just by doing the virtual tasting, we speak try to speak to everybody's level, and that's one reason I like to have a two-way communication with the people that are part of the call, part of the virtual tasting.
And when it
It
comes to what
means a
you
lot.
guys are using, do you guys have something in house that you're able to use, or is it Zoom that you guys are using? Like what, and like how many people can you have? Because that obviously is important too.
Right, so we've done Zoom, and I've done over 100 people
Wow.
sometimes with these things, which has been pretty crazy. And that really is just, you don't have too many people you can actually talk and connect with, but you
Yeah.
have to try to, maybe it's like they're, you kind of get like one supervisor that's kind of sort of speaking for everybody,
Hmm.
which works out. And so we would have a lot of prep going on for a big tasting like that. But most of the time, it's about 15 people, enough that fits in a full screen, and
Oh,
it makes fun conversation. Some people are running around. Some people invited their neighbors over and are sitting at a picnic table outside with a phone stuck up against the candle or something like that. It's just like it's pretty hilarious. And
that's pretty.
and it's fun because they're in a great state to be able to have that virtual tasting because they're comfortable. They're trying beer. They're in a setting where, I think that, it lends them to be a little more engageable. And I think
Hmm.
that's the big thing about these virtual tastings is engaging with people and really making it, people, you know, understand the beer, understand the brewery that we're talking about. So,
Sure.
which is
Well, and
Yards.
Yeah, you brought that up. You said state, so you guys can only do this in your state, correct? Because of shipping beer, that or is it
No.
reciprocating? It's like, where have you been able to do this?
Well, so I mean, so say we did a big accounting firm. Like some people are living in New Jersey, some people are living in Delaware. They go to their accounting firm and pick up the beer from them. So
Oh,
we're
perfect.
you know we're crossing state lines that way. The I guess you have like a law firm that had people that they were talking another law firm in Chicago. They sent the beer out themselves. So
Oh, okay.
Yards wasn't actually sending it, but I think we're allowed to send it if it's if I'm not sure. I guess if it's a paid for product or whatever, and then
Yeah,
you can ship beer now through the postal service.
yeah,
They just have
yeah.
to know it's beer.
You have to, and and they have to. It's. I know there's like a lot of things with like reciprocating states that allow
Yes,
sales beer into, because I know like especially during COVID, we were ordering beer to support breweries from all over the country, but we could only get
right.
breweries from certain places. And I
Yeah,
know my wife was very excited when Tennessee opened up to Ohio, so that she could stuff. Like it was just one of those things because we wanted to make sure that we were helping in ways that we could, and we weren't able to leave and go anywhere. So
right.
laws are different it's like so I'm sure like that's one of those sticky points where it's like you don't want to get yourself in trouble accidentally shipping beer out, and all of a sudden you're like, well, we weren't supposed to do that, and
Right. And it made you feel proud that brewery work was an essential personnel. So
exactly. That's cool. And kind of, is this something that you guys continually want to keep going, or is this something like it's starting to wear out, you kind of like it, but it's not exactly something that you want to do, or do you just love doing it? I mean, what's your thought process on
well, I think that when you do it, there's really good energy, and I like doing it. So I think that's something that comes across, and it has in a sense it has died out, but it hasn't like flamed out.
Yeah.
So it's still something that that fits in, because we can do regular events now. So it's like we're working on regular events, but if there's something like this comes up, just because, and it could be somebody that ordered an event or is booked an event, and it's like, hey, we want to have some of these people that aren't part of our group
Mm.
that are going to be able to make it there in person to be part of it, and would go from there. It's funny, I did a virtual tasting, or I did a live tasting for a bunch of IBM people that came to the brewery. Some of
Mm.
them were gonna do the virtual tasting the week after. So there was another week after they were here, and to have more people be part of the situation. A few people came on, and I decided, since a lot of the guys were, in AI, that I would go on to the internet with an AI kind of chat GPT and design a tasting of two of the beers that we were going to do. So
Nice.
I had that whole thing printed out and basically memorized it word for word, read the GPT one, and one of them was wrong. And then afterwards I told them, and so this is what AI generated for our gold ale or something like that, which it was new, so they didn't have a lot of information on it. They just took what most gold ales were and things like that. So it was a lot of fun to almost like dupe the AI in front of the people that are creating AI, which was this group of IBM people. And I came clean. It was a lot of talk about that, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Is there? I mean, you've talked to law firms, computer people. I mean, what are kind of some of the clientele that you've been able to work with, and anything that you were surprised by that you enjoyed? Maybe you got something out of it from the other end, and just working with
Well,
people. Like,
one of the most favorite ones I did was the Girl Scouts. Now, not Girl Scouts, but all sort of like the
yeah,
leadership, came in there, and we did a virtual tasting and pairing with Girl Scout cookies.
oh, that's
They sent me a bunch of cookies, and that had about 45 people on it, which was
oh, wow.
pretty crazy. Yeah,
Did
so it
you
was a
find
lot of fun, and I got a lot of Girl Scout cookies, which was great.
what was your favorite? Do you remember?
Oh, the what is it? Just the basic peanut butter one. I forget what they call it. The peanut
Oh
butter
yeah,
crunch or something like that.
Nice. And it went
but
with
but
which?
that went with the brawler because
Okay.
it was nice malty, and then it was like putting peanut butter between two slices of bread.
Fantastic. Well, very
Yeah,
neat. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I think it's a cool thing. I'm glad to see there's someone still doing it. I think it is a worthwhile endeavor, and it does open up your ability to be able to connect with people in a different way, because I think, and you've probably noticed this, just be it numbers or walking into the tap room, not as many people go out anymore. At least not in a lot, every day. Maybe a week. People are more about weekends now or something like that. And being able
yeah,
to, open this up gives you that other avenue. You're still finding another way to get your name out there.
yeah. It is. It's getting your name out there, and I'm thinking that if we go into new markets, things like that, that this might be a really great tool just to try to catch on yards and some people that don't know enough about our company, but are willing to try the beer, and if they can get a tutor tasting with that, that would be awesome.
And
So
yeah, I'm sure, like I said, people just love being able to hear the story from the person that actually was there.
yeah.
Do you ever get sick of talking about either A, yourself, and B, the company?
No, it's funny. It's just we're I'm so proud and proud of our story that I think most people in the company are love to tell it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's kind of like we built a brewery. Hey, we want to bring you on tour and show it to you. It's just like being proud of something. It doesn't get old.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like it's a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys are doing it. And thanks for sharing, kind of some insights
Yeah,
into it so that other people possibly can start thinking about this. This might have been one of those back burner ideas 2 years ago, and it's still viable, I think.
I think it really is. I think we're still using it with work, just maybe a different way to communicate as groups. And I think that's where it works when you're bringing a group together. A lot of times, I would never just make a phone call. Just a one-on-one kind of Zoom meeting or something like that. It's for other people to be so people can be involved and people know what everybody's talking about. So yeah,
Absolutely. Well,
and I
cool.
think
Thank
that technology is just going to get even better.
Yeah.
So we'll have other ways, soon to be, more engaging with that.
Awesome. Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
Looking back, what would you say if there's a brewery that wants to do this, and maybe did it back in the day? Do you feel that versus like doing these corporate type things, being able to work with a group versus, hey, everyone go out and buy this new beer that we have coming out. I'm going to do a live stream Friday at 7 o'clock. Do you find, I mean, that's kind of been the two modes of connecting this way. Do you find
Right.
this more feasible for you guys versus just flipping on a switch and seeing who's going to show up and doing like a webinar live stream type of thing?
Most of the stuff we have has not been live webinar. They've all been, pre kind of ordered, virtual tastings where it's like, okay, sort of like, you're setting up to go on a tour, but you're not
Yeah.
actually showing up anywhere. I think the virtual live things, you never know who you're going to get. And, you could have success one day and you could have somebody that just shouldn't be there the other day. That's a big worry,
But that is
so.
on YouTube. Well, I saw also on that email that you guys are celebrating 30 years. So congratulations.
Thank
It's
you. Yeah.
this month, right? Would be your
Can't
official.
can't believe it's been that long. So yeah, it's actually not till the end of the year, but they're just like it's 94 to 2024. That's 30. We're gonna celebrate all year and just blow up social media. So we do things at the brewery. We're tapping Firkin on the first Friday of every month, and we have like a guest come in that has some importance to the brewery, whether it be in the past or now, and just have fun with it. And we just sort
Awesome.
of hang out, and everybody comes to the tap room, and it's definitely a lot of fun. That's just one of the things we're doing stuff all year long. It's crazy.
That's well, any of the I think I saw some of the classic beers that you guys are going to be working on, some stuff that was around in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah. So that's towards the end of the year. We might bring back a little bit of old ale and bring back some pink, things like that. So It'll be a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate the time, and good luck for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This has been fun.
Don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Executive Editor Jon Sicotte for brewermagazine.com.